Have you ever stared at a picture of the Great Pyramids or Stonehenge and just wondered, how? How did ancient civilizations, without our modern technology, create such massive, enduring monuments? For centuries, these structures have been shrouded in mystery, sparking countless theories, from lost technologies to extraterrestrial intervention. But what if I told you that archaeologists, through decades of meticulous work, have actually found logical, evidence-backed answers to many of these so-called unsolvable riddles? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of speculation and dive into the fascinating science behind some of the world's greatest ancient mysteries. Forget the aliens for a moment. The real story of human ingenuity is far more incredible. Let's start with the big one, the Great Pyramid of Giza. For thousands of years, the biggest question has been how the ancient Egyptians moved those colossal limestone and granite blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons, from quarries hundreds of miles away and lifted them into place. The popular image is of thousands of people straining to pull blocks across the dry sand. But that's not the full picture. Archaeologists have discovered evidence that the Egyptians were masters of their environment. A recent study analyzing ancient pollen and fossil evidence revealed that a now vanished branch of the Nile River, the Khufu branch, flowed right up to the Giza Plateau. This means they could have used boats to transport the massive stones much closer to the construction site, a far more efficient method than dragging them across land. A papyrus scroll, the diary of an official named Merer, was even discovered, detailing the transportation of limestone blocks by boat to Giza. It's a real-time account from someone who was actually there. So they got the stones to the site. But how did they lift them up? The idea of a single, long, straight ramp is problematic. It would have needed to be over a mile long to maintain a manageable slope. Instead, evidence points to a more sophisticated system. French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin proposed a compelling theory. The Egyptians used an internal ramp. They would have built an external ramp for the lower third of the pyramid, and then constructed a spiral ramp inside the pyramid's outer casing to transport blocks to the top. This would explain the lack of evidence for a massive external ramp and certain anomalies found inside the pyramid using microgravity scans. While it's still a theory, it's a powerful one, backed by physics and a growing body of evidence. So it wasn't aliens with levitation beams. It was brilliant Egyptian engineering, project management, and a deep understanding of physics and logistics. Now let's journey north to the misty plains of England and gaze upon Stonehenge. Who built it and why? For a long time, it was associated with the Druids, but we now know the monument predates them by at least 1,000 years. The real builders were Neolithic people, transitioning from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to farming. Excavations around the site have unearthed tools like antler picks and stone hammers, giving us insight into their construction methods. Even more fascinating is the discovery of the stone's origins. The smaller bluestones were traced all the way to the Preseli Hills in Wales, over 150 miles away. For years, people assumed they were brought by glaciers, but recent archaeological experiments have shown it entirely possible for people to have moved these multi-ton stones using a combination of sledges on log rollers and rafts. It would have been an immense, multi-generational effort, suggesting the site held profound importance. But why go to all that trouble? Why build Stonehenge at all? The layout provides a major clue. The monument is precisely aligned with the solstices. On the summer solstice, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, and on the winter solstice, it sets perfectly between the tallest trilithon. This indicates Stonehenge was a massive calendar, a celestial observatory used to mark the changing of the seasons. For an agricultural society, knowing when to plant and when to harvest was a matter of life and death. But it was likely more than just a farmer's almanac. The discovery of hundreds of human remains buried over centuries suggests Stonehenge was also a major ceremonial center, a place of ritual, and a cemetery for a regional dynasty of elites. It connected the living with their ancestors and the heavens, a sacred intersection of time, life, and death. From the plains of England, let's fly over to a place so remote it feels like another world. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, famous for its nearly 900 monumental statues, the Moai. The mystery here is twofold. How did a small, isolated population carve and move these massive figures, some as tall as a four-story building, and what happened to the civilization that built them? The traditional story is a tragic one. A people so obsessed with statue building that they cut down all their trees to move them, leading to ecological collapse, warfare, and starvation. This has been held up for decades as a cautionary tale of self-destruction. But is it the whole truth? Recent research paints a much more nuanced and complex picture. Let's address the statues first. How did they move them? Oral traditions of the Rapa Nui people have always maintained that the statues walked to their platforms. This sounded like a myth until archaeologists took it seriously. By creating replicas and experimenting, researchers Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo demonstrated that with just 3 teams of rope pullers and a bit of practice, you can make a moai walk upright by rocking it from side to side. It's an ingenious solution that requires minimal resources and no logs for rolling. This challenges the idea that mass deforestation was directly caused by statue transport. So what about the collapse? While the island did lose its trees, new evidence suggests the main culprit wasn't just human recklessness. The Polynesian rat, which arrived with the first settlers, likely had a devastating impact on the palm tree seeds, preventing the forests from regenerating. Furthermore, analysis of ancient tools and human remains shows that the Rapa Nui were incredibly resilient. They adapted their agriculture, building rock gardens to protect crops and enrich the soil. The idea of a sudden, violent collapse has been replaced by a model of gradual change and adaptation in the face of a challenging environment. The story of Easter Island isn't just one of failure, but one of incredible human resilience and ingenuity in one of the most isolated places on Earth. Finally, let's soar over the deserts of southern Peru to see the enigmatic Nazca lines, giant geoglyphs etched into the desert floor. There are hundreds of figures, from simple lines to complex depictions of hummingbirds, spiders, and monkeys, some stretching hundreds of feet long. Because they're only fully visible from the air, theories about ancient astronauts have been popular since their rediscovery. How could a civilization without airplanes create images they couldn't see? Well, it turns out you don't need to fly to create a large, coherent image. You can do it with simple geometry and careful planning from the ground. Archaeologists have shown that the Nazca people could have used basic surveying techniques with stakes and long cords to lay out the designs. They could start with a small grid-based drawing on cloth or ceramic and scale it up. The creation of the lines themselves is simple. They just removed the reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles on the surface to reveal the lighter-colored earth beneath. In the incredibly dry, windless climate of the Nazca Desert, these lines have remained preserved for over 1,500 years. The more pressing question is why they made them. Were they messages to sky gods? The leading theory connects them to a vital resource, water. Many of the lines and figures are located near or point towards sources of water or ritual sites related to water. In one of the driest places on the planet, rituals appealing for rain and agricultural fertility would have been paramount. The geoglyphs were likely created as part of these rituals, processional pathways for religious ceremonies. People would walk the lines, perhaps as a form of prayer or pilgrimage, to petition the gods for water and a good harvest. So they weren't landing strips for aliens, but sacred landscapes, giant outdoor temples connecting the Nazca people to the earth and the forces that sustained them. From the pyramids of Egypt to the statues of Easter Island, what we find time and again is not evidence of otherworldly help, but a testament to human intelligence, collaboration, and a deep connection to the natural and spiritual worlds. These ancient people were not primitive. They were brilliant astronomers, engineers, and artists who understood their environment in ways we are only just beginning to appreciate. The real mystery isn't how they built these wonders, but perhaps our own tendency to underestimate the incredible capabilities of our ancestors. The answers are right there, written in stone, earth, and bone, waiting for us to listen. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history and archaeology. What ancient mystery do you want us to tackle next? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious,